I never thought that one day I would remove the lock from my husband's study door. But that day, I truly reached my limit. Ethan is a software engineer. He works overtime every day, and when he gets home at night, he's glued to his video games. Every night, he sits there until 2 or 3 in the morning, eyes red, fingers stiff. The next morning, he drags his exhausted body to work again. To make it through the day, he always takes a 2-hour nap after coming home around 5. Those 2 hours, to him, are sacred, completely off limits. The study door is always closed, curtains drawn, phone on silent, headphones on. That's his world, and also the wall that separates him from reality. He even put a sign on the door.
Do not disturb.
Unless the house is on fire. At first, I found it funny, but gradually, I stopped laughing. Because behind that sign was his growing indifference toward his family. Over the years, I've tried to wake him up during family emergencies. When the kids cried, or when small accidents happened at home, I would knock gently. Ethan, can you help me for a second? Each time, he would sit up, his face dark, his voice cold. You know I hate being disturbed. Don't knock again. Sometimes he wouldn't respond at all, just sat there with his headphones on and said, handle it yourself. Little by little, I learned to endure. Every shout for help, every small request felt like stepping on a landmine. I started repeating in my head, don't disturb his nap. So, an unspoken rule formed in our house. My husband's nap time is an absolute taboo. Even the kids learned to be cautious. Jamie once wanted to ask his dad for help, but he didn't even dare to reach for the doorknob. Sophia learned to handle small kitchen accidents on her own, afraid of making her father angry. And Ives could only bear all the pressure and anxiety in silence. For a long time, this fragile balance filled our home with hidden danger. Every small accident made me swear silently, don't wake him, don't knock. But silence and restraint have limits. One day, that invisible rule would break. That day was a Wednesday. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, warm but unreal. Sophia was chopping vegetables. Jamie was playing with his blocks in the living room. Everything felt peaceful, ordinary. I was mentally going over chores, school pickups, and dinner plans. Then, a sharp, piercing scream shattered the calm. I rushed forward on instinct. Hot oil was dripping down Jamie's small arm. His skin turned red and shiny in seconds, as if it were burning. He screamed in agony, face flushed red, tears streaming down his cheeks. His tiny fingers curled, reaching out for help in the air. I could see the droplets of oil sliding down his arm, each one like a burning needle stabbing straight into my heart. My mind went blank, my hands shook uncontrollably. My chest tightened, I could barely breathe. I grabbed a towel and tried to wipe off the oil, yelling to Sophia, get the ointment. Hurry, Mom, he's in pain. Sophia's voice trembled, and I almost burst into tears. I shouted impulsively, go get your dad. Sophia ran and came back pale-faced. Mom, the door's locked, he won't open. Hopelessness surged through me like a flood. Jamie's screams stabbed through my ears like knives. I pounded the door, shouting, Ethan, open the door. Jamie's burned. No response. I called his phone, turned off. Sent a text unread. He was inside, completely cut off from the world, headphones on. At that moment, images flashed in my mind. Every time the kids cried, I knocked, and he stayed in bed, cold and silent. Every little emergency, every plea for help, all met with irritation or silence. I had endured, and endured, and endured again. But now, endurance couldn't save my child. Jamie was hurt. I picked him up and ran for the door. Sophia dashed out to get help from the neighbors. The neighbor immediately grabbed his keys and drove us to the hospital. On the way there, Jamie's cries filled the car. Every breath he took was a sharp, burning pain. His small hand clenched into a fist, trembling. I held him tightly with one arm and gripped the seat with the other, my heart pounding violently. Sophia held on to me, eyes full of fear. I kept whispering to myself, he'll be okay. He'll be okay. But inside, I cursed Ethan over and over. If he had just been there, if he had just opened the door. The car sped through the streets. Every red light felt like an eternity. I counted seconds in my head, praying the hospital wasn't far. At the hospital, doctors rushed out. Nurses took Jamie from my arms. They cleaned the wound, disinfected, applied ointment, working quickly and calmly. Jamie's cries softened, but his hand stayed red and hot. I sat by his bed, holding his tiny fingers, feeling my heart rip apart. When we finally got home at 8 that evening, Ethan was in the living room, face dark, brows furrowed. Where have you been? I called you 10 times. I looked at him, still holding Jamie wrapped in gauze. Look. Look what happened. He froze. What happened? Your daughter was cooking. Oil splashed. Jamie got burned. I knocked for 10 minutes, you didn't answer. He went silent for a moment, then said, Why didn't you just go straight to the hospital? Why waste time knocking? My anger exploded. I knocked because I thought we were a family. I thought you'd care. You should be here, not hiding in that room to recover your energy. He glared back. Your daughter wasn't careful. You should have been watching. He got burned because of your negligence. I stared at him, trembling. So it's all my fault. He shrugged. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. The air froze between us. I turned and went upstairs. Each step on the stairs echoed like a hammer pounding my chest. At the study door, I stopped. The sign D.O.
Not.
Disturb glimmered faintly under the hallway light. I remembered all the times I'd stood there before. The crying kids. The chaos. The broken fridge. He was never there. Every emergency turned into an accusation. Every knock felt like trespassing. I had endured for years. But now I knew endurance couldn't save us anymore. I grabbed a screwdriver. My hands were shaking, but I took a deep breath and twisted the screws one by one.
Click.
The lock fell to the floor. Ethan stormed out. Are you insane? You took my lock off. I looked him straight in the eye. While that door was locked, our son was crying in pain, almost fainting. He froze, then shouted, Do you know how much I need that time? My work is stressful. I just want 2 hours of peace.
Peace.
I laughed bitterly. That's your peace. What about ours? We live in chaos while you hide. He glared at me. You don't understand me. You don't respect me. I bit my lip. And who do you respect, Ethan? We're a family, or aren't we? We argued for a long time. He called me controlling. I called him cowardly and irresponsible. I remembered all those nights. The crying children, the burned dinner, the broken things, the exhaustion. And him, behind the locked door, pretending the world didn't exist. Finally, tears streamed down my face. While you sleep for those 2 hours, I handle everything. The crying, the chaos, the stress. You're not resting, you're running away. He fell silent. That night, neither of us slept. He sat on the couch, staring blankly. I stayed upstairs, comforting the kids. At 2 in the morning, I went downstairs for water. He was still there, eyes red, quiet. The next morning, before going to work,
He tore down the sign.
I didn't ask him why. That night, when Jamie woke up crying for his dad, Ethan hesitated, then gently picked him up. In that moment, I felt something loosen inside me. Sometimes I think that door was never just a door. It was distance. It was avoidance. It was the reality he refused to face. And what I removed that night wasn't just a lock. It was the illusion he had built to hide behind. We're still learning how to be a family. The house is noisier now, Messier too. But at least now, when someone needs help, the door is open.